Good morning. It is what time? 6:58. What? Later than I thought. 6:58 a.m. on Thursday, August 22nd, 2019. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. I actually have been up for a little bit, just kind of poking around, procrastinating, and which is why it's later than I thought. But last night I watched a couple of cartoons. One is, even though it's second in my title, I'm going to talk about it first. I watched 3 episodes of a cartoon called Infinity Train. Now, Infinity Train was like a one-shot sort of pilot a few years back that a lot of people thought was really cool, and it seemed like it took a long time for them to make it a full series, but now they have. My understanding is that there are 10 episodes available now, and I have watched the first 3, and it is really pretty interesting. I think that it's extremely high concept. You have a girl named Tulip who wanted to be a video game programmer, and so due to a mishap when she was supposed to be able to go to game development camp, she ends up out on her own and gets aboard a mysterious train that seems to go on forever. And whenever she crosses between cars, it looks like this blasted post-apocalyptic wasteland outside. And then every car seems like it contains like a whole little parallel world of a variety of sources and sizes in there. And just it's almost like every car is its own little dimension that she has to make her way through. And now she has a number glowing on her hand. She doesn't know what it means or how to get home or how to get off. She can get off the train in between cars, but there's nowhere to go out there. So what's happening? What's going on? It's a pretty cool concept, and there's a lot of really interesting visuals in it. And in a lot of ways, though, some of the nature of the train is just an excuse to have a whole bunch of really weird concepts that she has to deal with on an episodic basis. And yet, somewhat like how Good Place occasionally takes what seems like, oh, you could do a whole season's worth out of a certain idea, but then just kind of has her racing through some cars that seem pretty interesting, but mostly are just used for a sight gag. One in particular was pretty weird, that it was basically just literally full of ducks. And I don't mean full like there's a bunch of ducks. I mean like you're like 3-dimensionally, it's just ducks. Wall to wall, there's just a bunch of ducks in there. And so she's trying to figure out what's going on. There's a lot of silliness. She meets a little bit of a robot that is ball-shaped but can split into 2 pieces, and it's sort of bipolar, where one of the halves is very cheery and sort of naive, and the other one is very morbid. And in the 3rd episode, which I just watched, she's joined by Atticus, king of the corgis. And so I'm certainly, biased in favor of any cartoon that includes corgis, but I think it's a pretty good show. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm certainly going to watch the rest of them. The other thing that I watched last night was Invader Zim, Enter the Florpus, which is a new movie made for a TV show that from like 2001. So Invader Zim used to be on Nickelodeon, and it's frankly incomprehensible that Nickelodeon ever allowed it to get made, because it is super weird, especially for the other shows that Nickelodeon was making at that time. It's pretty aggressively weird. It's about an alien who is pretty bad at everything he does, getting sent off on a busy work mission to conquer Earth, when they're really just trying to get rid of him. And then there's some of the kids in the class of the school he infiltrates that have figured out his story and are trying to take him down. But that base plot doesn't really convey the level of weirdness of this show. And there's certainly horror elements and a lot of gross out stuff. And, you know, certainly anyone who used to watch Ren and Stimpy is aware of how some cartoons will combine like gross out stuff with, silly cartoony visuals. And it's got a very dark sense of humor, and there's a lot of screaming. But frankly, I really enjoy it. I think it's absolutely worth checking out. But what's weird here is that Netflix has produced and is now making available a movie follow-up, which is what I watched last night, but does not actually have the main series available on streaming. So you can watch it not for free on Prime Video, and I believe it's available on Hulu, but it's a little weird that they would put out the movie but when they don't have the series available. But anyway, in theory, I don't really think you need to have watched the show in order to watch the movie. Certainly you'll recognize more references, but honestly, I think you'll pick up anything you really need just watching the movie, and it would certainly persuade you, one way or the other. I think if you like the movie, you'll probably feel the same way about the show, whatever you feel, which is, I think, an endorsement of the movie for people who are fans of the original show. And so it's very strange. But it's very silly. There's lots of really crazy laugh out loud moments. In particular, Gurr, which is Invader Zim's robot companion, who is always constantly very silly and surreal, often provides a lot of the biggest laughs, and that was certainly true in the movie too. And so basically, if you like the original show, you should watch the movie. It's good. And if you never saw the original show, you could watch the movie to show you if you feel like you want to watch the show or not. But anyway, I recommend it. And so I'll leave it there for today and talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.